Do we need to turn off the light?
Yeah. That's fine.
Works for me.
Hello!
Back.
Look, we're back!
Haha! It's been so long.
It has. There's been a change of venue.
I moved!
Again!
I bought a house! I keep moving. Keep pulling these pranks on you guys.
It's not the only thing that's changed. Oh, she's asleep. I don't want to wake her up.
When she wakes up in a little bit, we got Titus, the TenStreams puppy, a little friend. Her name is Maylise, after the Dragon Queen. The real Dragon Queen. Don't give me none of that fucking Daenerys Storm bitch. Fuck her. I don't know if you know this, but I'm not a Daenerys fan.
Well, no, because she's batshit insane.
So did you watch Game of Thrones?
I watched up until the Battle of Blackwater.
No, okay. I was going to say because...
That's about when it stopped being good.
Because I've officially subscribed to a theory that... like I wholeheartedly believe in, almost as much as I believed in R plus L equals J. I can't spoil that for you. Unless you don't care.
No.
Okay, so, Jon Snow.
Oh, that he's a Targaryen?
He's the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark.
Yeah.
Or Lyanna Stark. Which, you know, that's... come on, that was the most low-hanging fruit ever. But I subscribe to a new theory, but I would have to spoil the entire ending of Game of Thrones to you to... Spoiler talk, guys. So, I don't know if you know this, but at the end of Game of Thrones, at least the show, we don't know how the books are going to go. Bran, the Stark that fell from the window and lost use of his legs, became the three-eyed raven. He can basically see through time and interact with time, and he's basically this big sage guy, right? He becomes king. So he's sitting on the Iron Throne, which in the episode made no fucking sense because like he's just sitting there with like all these other super important people that could vie for the throne, and they're just like, yeah, we want Bran, and we're like, the guy that just fucking sits there like he's a pedo watching a fucking McDonald's play place. But yeah, so Bran becomes king, and I actually am starting to believe that wasn't just a choice by the showrunners. That was a choice of George R.R. Martin. And that is actually something that's going to happen, and everyone thinks that they fumbled the bag, but they might not have fumbled the bag. There might be a reason that that last season was so fucking rushed. One, because they were fucking running out of money and stuff, but, you know, when an arc all into like 2 episodes, it was dumb. But when Bran becomes king, Jon Snow, also known as, in this they call him Aegon Targaryen. I do not believe his name is actually Aegon. I think it's actually Jaehaerys Targaryen, but that's neither here nor there. Bran banishes him to the Wall, to the north. He sends him back to the Night's Watch because he killed the queen. Which doesn't really hold up, because everyone's like, well, she was the rightful king. It's like, well, she literally burned all the citizens of the city, and out of spite, just because she went fucking crazy. And a lot of people were like, why you gotta do my boy Jon like that? Like, punishment? So I think actually what happened was, back earlier in the season, when Bran is learning to use his powers and everything, he touches one of the roots up in the north whenever he's doing his training, and he sees like the Night King and the White Walkers with their whites advancing, and the Night King is able to sense him and physically interact with him, which shouldn't be able to happen. And he grabs Bran and leaves a mark, like a handprint, right?
Yeah.
And he lets go of the root and he comes back to present time or present place, and he still has the mark on his arm. And everyone's like, oh, like, that means, like, it's gonna rot, or he's gonna die, or something, or it's gotta be healed. They never fucking mention it again. It kind of was there to be like, oh, he interacted with me when I was in a vision, that's scary, but they never fucking mention it again. Right? So that's a little suspicious. Well then, whenever the long night happens, and Bran is literally waiting in Winterfell, in the God's Wood, underneath one of the God trees or whatever, and he's just fucking waiting there, and the Night King comes for him. Because he's the three-eyed raven, I guess? And Bran, earlier, had given the Valyrian steel dagger to Arya. And Arya is the one that kills the Night King, and it's this whole thing where it's like, everyone's like, we waited fucking almost 10 years for this, and she just fucking stabs him and he dies. Crazy. So a lot of people were really disappointed in that, right? But, what if, when the Night King touched him while he was in his vision, he actually implanted himself in Bran, his consciousness in Bran? Because after that, Bran kind of gets a little more stoic. Like, before, he was more talkative and stuff, and then after that, he gets very stoic, and he doesn't really talk a lot, and he seems kind of ethereal. And you're like, oh, it's because he's the three-eyed raven. But, like, it's kind of a sudden shift. So what if he implanted his consciousness in Bran, who was promised? Because the prophecy goes that the prince that was promised will come, and he will unite the seven realms against the Long Night, or this great threat, or something to that nature. Well, in George R.R. Martin's original draft, when it was only going to be 3 books, back before he'd written to see if they would take him on, and a lot of it's been redacted. Like, the last couple paragraphs have been redacted. Well, people on Reddit are the people on Reddit, and they translated a good portion of it. And in that redacted part, it says, while Bran sits uncomfortably, the Iron Throne is known to be the most uncomfortable seat. It's supposed to be sharp, so King's always alert. While Jon's enemy, and then they couldn't translate the rest after that. So, what if the plan was to continue on, because there was supposed to be a Jon Snow series coming as well.
And they fumbled back on that.
Well, I kind of think that with House of the Dragon coming out, they're going to pick that back up, because I think they're actually filming it now. And that actually shows that the Game of Thrones story was just so the Night King took over, and it's going to be up to Jon to come back and unite the Seven Kingdoms against Bran, the Night King.
I just remember Jon, like, in the beginning, Jon and Bran were close.
They were. And that's what would make it so fucking heartbreaking. It's something that George R.R. Martin would do.
Yeah.
Is to pit them against each other, to make Jon's worst enemy one of the siblings that he loved the most.
Yeah. He's a right bastard when it comes to that.
Like...
So.
Yeah, now that I went on a 10-minute spiel about fucking Game of Thrones theories.
We're gonna play some Plague Inc.
Yeah, the fuck we are. So
it's an older game.
It started on mobile.
Yes, I have the mobile. And I have everything unlocked on it. Well, except for Jeans.
And but I was just really getting an itch to play it. I was like, I really want to try play. But we just played one night while we were hanging out, before everything was all set up. And he was like, I fucking love this game. I'm pretty decent at it, and I can help you get started and kind of give you some tips and tricks. So after that, I've pretty much played it nonstop. And
look who's awake!
We decided, why would we just play it without sharing that experience?
This is Meme.
Yeah, little Meme.
Look at you.
Maybe she's
a little sleepy. Yeah.
No. She just likes to nap. She is also a dachshund. And of course, Titus is fucking zonked out on me. So.
Head in crotch.
But yeah, we thought that we would share our Plague Inc. journey with you, so we can continue to unlock the rest of the stuff, beat some of the harder viruses, or what do they call them? The harder
pathogens.
Because I don't know if anyone knows this, but I have personally gotten up to the necrovirus, which is basically zombies.
She's snuggling.
It completely changes the game, and it's very, very difficult. And I've tried it a few times. I haven't beaten it. He tried it with me the other day.
I gave it a shot. I got pretty far.
Decent, and but we couldn't outpace the game itself.
I think I wiped out about 95% of the planet.
Yeah, it was a narrow margin that we lost by, but yeah. So we're basically going to start at bacteria, and we're just going to keep unlocking genes. But every time that we beat a pathogen, we're going to move on to the next pathogen until we get, of course, to necrovirus, which we will be trying to beat for the first time on this file. So I know I'm going to have fun.
I just enjoy being included.
And hopefully somebody out there is like, we'll try and discuss some strategies and stuff as we play, of like stuff that we like to do to maybe get to certain countries or maybe help transmission. Kind of while we're choosing stuff.
Here's the beautiful thing: like, this may be a strategy game, and I'm not really big into strategy games, but it's a different kind of strategy game because there's no like set strategy that is the best strategy. Every strategy is viable to a degree.
And it also depends extremely on your pathogen.
And luck.
Like, yeah, because sometimes you'll just get random, the kissing festival's happening, or new plane sanitization is a thing, which makes your virus harder to transmit, or, I had one that was...
The government will collapse.
It's like Australia discovered a new form of energy, and it was just hard as fuck to get into Australia because they became like a super high-rich nation. And so we'll kind of try and explain the stuff that we're doing and why we're doing it to kind of get where we want to go. And fuck, we might lose a couple games, or we might win every time.
I know we'll definitely not fail with virus.
Virus is easy mode, as I call it. Which, I mean, it's not easy mode. It's just
It's the one I'm the most adept at.
It's a very user-friendly pathogen. It allows you... It kind of does part of your work for you, and you just have to make sure that work doesn't get out of control. So, like, the management kind of shifts. I wouldn't say it's, like, less management, but it's...
a spot here that's weird.
Yeah, you just got some...
goop.
Yeah, fine. Probably before when I was changing out the dishes.
Did someone come on this dog?
Maybe me, who knows? Wiener on wiener crime. Bestiality is not supported.
He's glazed.
Peach, my little Krispy Kreme.
Some memes just make themselves.
God, why does it sound like I'm gonna vote red? Oh, it's funny. So yeah, you know what? I've been playing this like nonstop. So. No.
I have been playing a lot on Steam.
Okay, well,
because I have it on mobile and Steam.
Also, luckily, this is like the complete edition. If you guys want to go get it, it's always cheap. I think it's like $5 right now.
It's just a relatively cheap game. Either way, it's a well-made, very cheap game.
So yeah, we're going to be playing the main game instead of cure mode. And then, of course, we have... These are our viruses that we're going to be playing as. Pathogens, yes. These are the ones that I have not unlocked yet. And, of course, these are DLC, which is...
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
The apes take over the planet, and this is vampires. So that's fun.
I enjoy the vampire one. That one's really hard. Like, you think necrovirus is hard? Shadow Plague is fucking hard.
I bet. But yeah, so we're going to start out with
Murex Worm is probably the easiest of the DLC.
Now, what this is your genetic code. So these are things that you will start out the game fresh on. You will not have any of these unlocked, and they just give you little bonuses that affect how you play the game and how your points and stuff are going to be allocated to you. Depending on what I'm playing, I normally try and go with cure bubbles, because I always like to have a boost of points near the end so I can make stuff lethal if I don't have enough points and I pop a cure bubble.
Yeah, you get a little bit of extra.
Get
so
a little
you can
extra,
get what you need to get.
It's a good way to kind of like boost yourself to the end.
It's always good to hold off a little bit instead of just spending all of your DNA points all at once, because mid-game you get a lot of DNA points. It's always good to hold at least 20 back, so that way you can get a genetic hardening and a genetic reshuffle. You want to get the genetic hardening pretty quickly. The genetic reshuffle is what you want to wait and save your points for. You use that in the later game to help prevent you from getting cured immediately.
Yep. I love that metabolic hijack's on here. I don't know why it's the last one, because there's literally a pause function. So like popping them for you, I feel like it's kind of a waste of a spot. But,
it is.
So what do you think? You want to get bonus DNA at the beginning?
No, go with catalytic switch.
Yeah, it's my personal favorite. Of course, genetic mimic, it just flat out makes it harder to cure.
What is base oxidation?
Can mutate transmissions, so...
But it's easier to cure.
Yes.
Stick with genetic mimic.
Yeah. This decreases the chance of plague mutating, and this increases the chance of it mutating. So...
Hard mode virus. Darwinist.
So...
it just mutates. Always.
Yeah, it might actually fill out that thing. Aquasite, this is my personal favorite that I have so far, purely because there's two countries that are extremely hard to get. Iceland and Greenland.
No. Iceland's not as difficult as you think. Greenland is nigh impossible late game. Madagascar is a bitch to get.
And New Zealand. New Zealand can be tough too.
Madagascar tends to be the one that fucks me over.
Yeah, that's one of the cool parts about fungus is
the blooming.
You can literally aim it, which is cool.
Fungal bloom is the best ability.
No, not that one. There's it's one of the
zombie.
No, Nurex worm or parasite. It's one of the two. Its special trait is you can put an infected person on a plane and send it to a country.
That is the Nurex.
Yeah.
Because that gives you mind control abilities.
This one, bonus to arid, bonus to humid. I normally do rural, so it'll...
well, that's because we usually start in the Indian subcontinent.
Yeah. And plus, it just helps you get USA so fast.
Yeah, because a lot of the US is rural.
I mean, not the U.S., like Canada and Russia. I was thinking urban.
I mean, you get most of Asia using rurophile.
Yeah. And I always thought Greenland...
Except for, like, Japan and China.
Greenland's more rural, I would say, right?
I mean, yeah. I would say that Greenland is more rural, but there's also large swaths of Greenland that are uninhabitable.
Yeah. And then... I mean, extremophile would just be dope, but... whatever.
Every time I hear extremophile, I just think of the bacteria that live next to volcanic vents.
The dramatic pause is for you to explain, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, don't mean to sigh. Catching my breath for a second. That went down the wrong hole. So, extremophiles is actually a actual class of pathogen that lives next to extreme environments. Common examples of extremophiles would be bacteria that live in volcanic areas, particularly around undersea volcanic vents. Then there's also species that live in hot springs. Mm-hmm. Hot springs that are so high it'll melt your fucking... There are certain bacteria that you cannot kill using heat or cold because they have specially environment. Technically, a lot of the pathogens that live in hospitals can be considered extremophiles because they live in an extremely